Every day, I share another story from the Golden Age and the moments that shaped an unforgettable era. If you'd like to keep these memories alive with me, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot. Thank you for being here. Now let's begin. Carol Burnett, the woman America adored for her warm smile and timeless humor. For decades, she's been known as Hollywood's sweetest soul, the queen of grace and laughter. But even legends have breaking points. Now in her 90s, Carol shocked everyone when she sat down with Rolling Stone and opened up about something few ever saw coming: the men she just couldn't stand. These weren't random people, they were powerful men who had once been part of her world, on stage, behind the scenes, and even in her personal life. Some broke her trust through lies and betrayal, while others tried to push her aside from shows she helped make iconic, like Saturday Night Live. And then there was the younger guy who went too far, mocking her in a nasty sketch that forced her to take legal action to defend her dignity. So, who were the ones who hurt one of TV's most beloved legends? And which man left a scar she could never forgive? Among them stood Harvey Korman, once her closest partner in comedy, but also the spark behind one of the biggest explosions in 1970s television. Back then, every laugh meant big ratings and even bigger paychecks, and the Carol Burnett Show ruled the airwaves. At its heart was Carol, the heartbeat of the show, and Harvey, the genius who turned her jokes into gold. Together, they made magic. But behind that curtain of laughter, a storm was quietly brewing. By 1974, cracks were starting to show. The show was at its peak: 4 Emmys, massive ratings, and another 3 years locked in with CBS. But tension had crept in. Designer Bob Mackie later revealed that Harvey had grown snappy, distant, and cold, even avoiding Carol backstage. Something was shifting, and no one could ignore it anymore. Some insiders whispered that Harvey was starting to feel overshadowed by Carol's rising fame. That jealousy festered until one afternoon at Studio 33 in Los Angeles. Everything blew up. The crew was rehearsing with guest singer Petula Clark, who had just flown in from London. During one of Harvey's scenes, a lighting mistake left his face in shadow. He froze, threw his script on the floor, and shouted, "After all these years, can't anyone get it right?" The room went silent. Director Dave Powers tried to calm him down, but Harvey kept going, even taking a shot at Carol, claiming she didn't notice what was happening. That hit deep. Carol, known for her kindness and calm, stood up, walked to the stage, and with a voice that cut through the silence said, "Harvey, I've had enough. If you can't respect everyone here, you don't need to be here." You could have heard a pin drop. According to Bob Mackie's Even More Laughs, the whole room froze. You could hear a microphone drop. Harvey stared for a moment, then turned and walked off. Nobody followed. That day, a cameraman remembered seeing Carol sitting alone, looking at his empty chair, quietly saying, "I didn't want it to end this way, but he went too far." It was heartbreaking. Hours later, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner ran the headline, "Harvey Korman leaves the Carol Burnett Show during rehearsal." CBS stayed silent, but Hollywood didn't. Rumors flew. People said Carol had finally snapped after months of tension. The buzz was everywhere. Vicki Lawrence, Carol's close friend, tried reaching out to Harvey, but he wouldn't answer. Carol stayed professional. She kept filming, never once mentioning his name. Crew members said she looked calm on the outside, but they could see how drained she was. Then a few days later, CBS got a phone call. It was Harvey. His voice trembled as he told the assistant, "I need to talk to Carol." When she picked up, he admitted softly, "I was wrong. I want to come back." The very next morning, Harvey walked into the production meeting. Everyone froze again. He apologized to the crew, then turned to Carol and said, "I forgot why I started." Carol smiled, walked up and hugged him, and the studio broke into applause. It was a powerful moment, but those who were there said something had changed forever. Harvey stayed on the show until 1977 before leaving quietly. Carol stayed kind and respectful, but their friendship never fully healed. In a 1983 Entertainment Tonight interview, when asked about Harvey, she smiled and said, "Harvey made me laugh more than anyone and gave me the biggest headaches." That legendary outburst, now known as the Studio 33 blow-up, became one of CBS's most unforgettable behind-the-scenes moments. It showed the world that even in comedy, egos can clash hard, and kindness has its limits. Afterward, Carol became stronger, sharper, and even more determined. But one thing was clear: she'd never forget the day laughter turned into silence. After that infamous showdown, Carol Burnett changed. She no longer let her emotions guide her work. She became sharper, tougher, unstoppable. But peace didn't last long. Behind the flashing lights and roaring laughter of the Carol Burnett show, her personal life was quietly falling apart. The marriage that once made her Hollywood's golden girl was crumbling from the inside. Carol Burnett and her husband, Joe Hamilton, were once the dream team, the perfect blend of comedy and control. Their story started back in 1960 when Carol was still a rising star on The Gary Moore Show. Joe, a seasoned producer 10 years her senior, had already built a name for himself on The Steve Allen Show and The Colgate Comedy Hour. They met during a CBS taping in New York, and Carol once said, "He looked at me in a way that made me feel like I truly mattered." That connection was instant. 3 years later, they tied the knot in a quiet California ceremony with just close friends and co-workers. By 1967, when The Carol Burnett Show hit the air, Joe had become not just her husband, but the producer, mentor, and partner steering the show's success. For years, they were unstoppable. She brought heart, he brought precision. Together, they were Hollywood royalty. But success can twist even the strongest bonds. According to costume designer Bob Mackie, things began to change around 1975. Joe started taking more control. He wanted final approval over guest lists and scripts, even before Carol saw them. One day, he pushed to cut emotional scenes, saying the show should focus only on humor. Carol disagreed instantly. She fought back, saying audiences need both heart and laughter. That's when the cracks really began to show. As time passed, Joe became distant, more focused on new projects and less present at home. Then, whispers began floating around the CBS lot. In August 1979, TV Guide hinted that a veteran producer was secretly involved with someone inside a Los Angeles editing suite. No names were dropped, but people knew. Crew members often spotted Joe at the Showhouse restaurant near the studio, always with the same young CBS editor. Carol didn't confront him right away, but her close friend Vicki Lawrence said she broke down one night after overhearing crew gossip about Joe's too friendly relationship. It crushed her. Then came the real heartbreak. In 1982, while reviewing contracts, Carol's lawyer discovered something shocking. Joe had quietly formed Hamilton Productions in Beverly Hills, registering spin-off projects from The Carol Burnett Show under his own name. One of those projects? Mama's Family, based on a Burnett sketch, but without her credited ownership. That betrayal hit like a punch to the gut. According to the biography Laughing Till It Hurts, Carol confronted him face-to-face at CBS. She asked him, "Do you think it's fair to turn what we built together into something just yours?" Joe shot back coldly, "It's business, Carol, not emotion." That was the moment everything ended. On March 3, 1983, Carol filed for divorce in Los Angeles County Court. The LA Times headline read, "Carol Burnett and Joe Hamilton split." But the truth was messier than anyone imagined. Their separation turned into one of Hollywood's most complicated asset battles. Joe demanded full production rights and profits from The Carol Burnett Show and every related project. Carol refused to back down. For nearly a year, the trial dragged on, with reporters from People, Variety, and USA Today camping outside the courthouse every single day. Carol stayed composed and graceful. Joe looked defeated and drained. Finally, in June 1984, the court ruled that Carol would keep the show's name and half of its earnings, while Joe received 40% of the syndication profits. When asked how she felt, she simply smiled and said, "We were the best team until he forgot I was more than a partner." That quote made People magazine's cover, and it struck a chord across America. After that, Carol cut all business ties with Hamilton Productions. Joe tried to move forward with new shows, but none reached the same heights. He passed away from heart disease in 1991. Carol didn't attend the funeral, but she sent white flowers with a simple note, "I wish you peace, Joe." As for me, I'll keep going, short, honest, and full of everything left unsaid. Years later, during an interview at the Paley Center for Media, she reflected quietly, "Joe taught me that in this business, love isn't enough. You also need trust that truth hit deep." And just when people thought the drama was over, another storm appeared on her horizon. The third man on her list wasn't a producer or a co-star. It was none other than Marlon Brando. Now, some Hollywood stories sound too wild to believe until you find out they're true. This one shocked everyone. It was a quiet summer night in July 1972. Los Angeles slept under dim canyon lights, and inside her home off Coldwater Canyon, Carol was resting with her two daughters. Around 3 a.m., the phone rang. Her housekeeper thought it was a studio emergency and rushed to wake her up. Half asleep, Carol picked up the phone, then froze. A deep, unmistakable voice said, "Carol, it's Marlon Brando." She thought it was a prank. But when he mentioned watching a rerun of the Carol Burnett show on CBS, she realized it was really him. Trying to stay polite, she thanked him, expecting the call to end. But it didn't. The two ended up talking for over 30 minutes, with Brando going on about acting, Hollywood, and how television needs more women like you. Marlon Brando's deep, husky voice grew slower, softer, and suddenly it wasn't just a casual call anymore. It was crossing a line. Carol later said, "I realized I was speaking to the real Marlon Brando, not one of his roles. He was magnetic, sharp, but something about his tone felt off. When his words turned a little too personal, Carol drew the line, firmly but with class. Mr. Brando, I appreciate your kind words, but it's very late. I have an early call tomorrow." Then she hung up. She thought that was the end of it, but by sunrise, Hollywood was on fire. The Hollywood Reporter splashed the headline, "Marlon Brando calls Carol Burnett at 3 a.m." The LA Herald-Examiner followed up with, "Brando finds inspiration in CBS's comedy queen." Gossip legends Luella Parsons and Rona Barrett claimed the call lasted over an hour, and that Brando sounded smitten. CBS tried to calm things down, releasing a statement saying the call was entirely personal. But Carol was furious. She told her PR team to kill the rumors immediately, yet the gossip kept spreading like wildfire. One anonymous source even claimed Brando had called again days later, but this time Carol didn't pick up. According to Vicki Lawrence, Carol felt humiliated and angry, terrified people would twist the story. Over lunch at Musso and Frank Grill, she vented to her friend, "He crossed the line. I can't believe someone like Marlon Brando thinks a late-night call is acceptable." After that, she completely froze him out. From that night on, Carol made sure they never crossed paths again. At the 1974 AFI Awards, when Brando suddenly appeared on the red carpet, she turned away instantly. Reporters called it a coincidence. Insiders knew it was intentional. Every month after, her PR team kept a private note on her schedule: "Do not attend events with Brando present." A former CBS staffer later confirmed in Hollywood Inside Out that Burnett quietly kept that rule for years. Brando never spoke publicly about it, though friends said he once joked, "Carol takes things too seriously, it was just a conversation." But that smug comment only made things worse. People saw it as proof of his arrogance. For Carol, it wasn't just about embarrassment. It was about respect. That night became a lifelong lesson in boundaries and trust. From then on, she got more private, more guarded. One crew member said, after that, Carol never answered phone calls after midnight again, not even from CBS. But just when she thought she'd seen the worst of Hollywood behavior, another blow came. And this one wasn't whispered in private. It was a public humiliation, in front of hundreds of stars. The man behind it? Cary Grant. Flashback to 1968. Hollywood was dripping in champagne, sequins, and ego. The Carol Burnett Show was dominating TV, winning Emmys left and right, and turning Carol into America's favorite funny woman. That same year, Cary Grant, the silver-haired legend of the Golden Age, was being honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Beverly Hilton. Two icons, two generations. They were supposed to share smiles and congratulations. But what happened instead became one of Hollywood's coldest moments ever. The ballroom glittered with legends: Lucille Ball, Gregory Peck, Elizabeth Taylor, and Jack Lemmon. Carol arrived in a stunning red gown designed by Bob Mackie. Radiant, confident, the very image of success. After the ceremony, she walked up to Cary's table, champagne glass in hand, ready to congratulate him. But something shifted in the air. Film critic Roger Ebert, who was there that night, wrote that as Carol neared the table, the mood changed completely. A director sitting beside Grant tried to lighten things up, saying, "Have you seen Carol's show? The whole country loves it." Grant smirked, his voice smooth but dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, that show? The one where she waves her arms, makes faces, and overacts? I don't understand why people enjoy that sort of thing." His words dropped like a bomb in the room. A few nervous chuckles, then silence. Carol didn't flinch. She kept her composure, looked him straight in the eye, and said calmly, "Maybe people prefer laughing with real folks rather than with perfection." The table froze. Cary gave a stiff smile, but he'd just been publicly checked by television's brightest star. Within 48 hours, the LA Times ran a piece titled, "Cary Grant and Carol Burnett, a frosty encounter at the Beverly Hilton." It was short but sharp, hinting that Grant had mocked Carol's down-to-earth style of comedy. Hollywood couldn't stop talking about it. Some defended Grant, claiming he was joking, but fans weren't buying it, especially women who adored Carol's honest humor. CBS jumped into action, releasing a statement that read, "Carol Burnett represents humor that is humane and intelligent. Laughter born from empathy, not foolishness." It was polite, but everyone knew exactly who that was aimed at. Carol didn't say a word publicly, but Grant made things worse. In an interview with Variety's Art Silverman, he doubled down, saying, "I prefer a more refined humor." That one sentence turned an awkward moment into a full-blown Hollywood feud. Some people in Hollywood just couldn't handle Carol Burnett's success. Cary Grant's digs about comedy losing elegance were just the beginning. He never named names publicly, but everyone knew who he meant. The tabloids ran wild, claiming he even told Carol she made comedy lose its elegance. Unconfirmed, yet the rumors spread like wildfire, igniting anger among her fans. CBS reported that viewer letters doubled in November 1968, most full of support for Carol. But she didn't respond publicly or grant interviews. She just kept working, and hard. That season, The Carol Burnett Show hit its highest ratings ever. She even invited Lucille Ball, her close friend and fellow comedy legend, to co-star in a special episode. Lucille later said, "Carol told me the best response is when they turn on the TV and still see us there." Still, Carol never forgot that night. Paramount later offered her a co-starring role with Cary Grant in a 1970 musical. She politely declined, citing scheduling conflicts. A friend revealed she said privately, "I won't work with someone who looks down on women's laughter." Grant never apologized or spoke of the incident again. But in Graham McCann's biography, Cary Grant, A Class Apart, it's written that Grant once admitted, "Carol is such a smart, strong woman, she made me feel uneasy." Ironically, his disdain only fueled her determination. She went on to play ordinary people, housewives, maids, seamstresses, women with simple lives but big hearts. Within 3 years, she won 3 consecutive Emmys, and The Carol Burnett Show was named one of TV Guide's classic American television programs. From this experience, she learned one clear truth. No need to argue, let success speak for itself. Yet, as Carol's fame soared, her very success seemed to unsettle certain powerful men in the industry. One of them was Lorne Michaels. Carol long accused him of dismissing women and deliberately excluding her from Saturday Night Live. In American television history, this remains one of the strangest mysteries. For nearly 50 years, Carol Burnett, the woman who paved the way for female-led comedy, was never invited to host SNL. Let's rewind to 1975, when SNL premiered live from Studio 8H at Rockefeller Plaza. At the time, The Carol Burnett Show was in its 8th season and still the nation's top-rated variety show. Carol represented heartfelt, character-driven humor, while Lorne Michaels was shaping a new era of edgy, politically charged satire. Critics like Harriet Van Horn of the New York Post suggested Burnett should host SNL to bridge 2 generations of comedy. The remarks seemed harmless, but they marked the start of a long, cold silence. Inside NBC, Carol's name reportedly came up for season 2 in 1976. But Michaels allegedly dismissed it, saying, "She doesn't fit the spirit of the show." According to New York Back Bay Books, 2002, one editor recalled Michaels referring to her as the face of old television, and we're doing something new. That comment fueled years of rumors. By 1981, journalist Tom Shales wrote in the Washington Post that Burnett had expressed interest in hosting multiple times, yet never received a response. Fans were outraged. Hundreds wrote to NBC demanding to know why the nation's most beloved female comedian had been ignored. A week later, NBC issued a short statement. Guest hosts are chosen based on each season's content and tone. Few believed it. In truth, Burnett had never publicly asked to host, but insiders said she felt quietly dismissed. During a late 1980s appearance on Larry King Live, she smiled with gentle irony and said, "Maybe I'm just not edgy enough for them." People who worked with Michaels described him as uncompromising about what SNL represented. Young, rebellious, ironic, the exact opposite of Burnett's warm human comedy. A former editor told Rolling Stone in 1990 that Michaels had once rejected a major sponsor suggestion to include Burnett in the show's 10th anniversary special, saying, "We respect her, but that's not our kind of comedy." That remark cemented the divide. Their relationship stayed frosty for decades. In 1991, at a Television Academy event in Los Angeles, both were scheduled to speak. Journalist Bill Carter of the New York Times wrote that the audience gave Carol a standing ovation. Minutes later, Michaels took the stage and sat, and Carol stayed seated, smiling faintly, eyes fixed on the camera. The clip aired on Entertainment Tonight and was quickly dubbed the coldest look in Hollywood. The story might have faded into history until 2023, when NBC produced Carol Burnett, 90 years of laughter and love to honor her legacy. During an interview, a journalist asked if she regretted never hosting SNL. Carol smiled kindly and replied, "I guess they didn't need me, but I didn't need them either." That single sentence shattered 50 years of silence. And within 24 hours, the #sign Invite Carol to SNL went viral, with thousands demanding NBC finally make things right. Later, during a panel at the Paley Center for Media, Carol reflected, "Some people don't realize that kindness has its own kind of power." After that, she chose to appear less often on modern television, protecting her timeless image. But fate had one more twist, a collaboration she had long dreamed of, which would also become one of the most painful experiences of her career. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you felt something real, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.